Next, I'd like to talk about paired data. We previously talked about paired data in the non-parametric context, but now we're going to talk about it in the parametric context. And I want to use a different example. So the example that I'm going to discuss here is based on a real study that was done about whether people with schizophrenia had brains of different sizes than people who did not have schizophrenia. And in particular, they were studying the size of a particular part of the brain. Okay, but you can imagine that for a bunch of individuals, some of whom had schizophrenia and some didn't, there's a measurement, okay, some kind of measurement. So we might start out thinking we're going to plot the data like this. Like here are the people who are, let's call them affected by schizophrenia and not affected by schizophrenia, right? And so I might have a bunch of people who are affected, a bunch of people who are not affected, right? And I'm kind of making up which way the data goes, but I could certainly make a box plot for each of them and compare to get a sense of the data. Or you can imagine I might make a couple of histograms, ideally on the same scale, right? So I should draw those tick marks in the same place on each, but these might be the people who are affected, and maybe a little higher, possibly, or the people who are not affected, something like that, okay? That'll work if the people who in my data set who are affected by schizophrenia have nothing to do with the people in my data set who are not affected by schizophrenia, right? If I go find a bunch of people with schizophrenia and then go to a different location and just separately recruit for my studies and people without schizophrenia, then either of these graphics would work. But what if I tell you that the way the data, the study was actually constructed, again, this is a real study, it's based on a real study, was that it was paired. What the researchers actually did was go out and find a bunch of twins such that within each set of twins, one had schizophrenia and one didn't. Neither one of these graphics would be appropriate. How come?